You will not wake up one day and all of a sudden realize that my life is getting destroyed because of porn. It happens slowly and quietly. And by the time you notice it, the damage is already being done. Now, pornography addiction is a huge problem in today's world. And majorly, it is affecting men. Now, I'm not saying that women are not affected by porn at all. Yes, they are. But watching porn is a visual act. And majorly, men are visual beings, not women. This is one of the many reasons because of which majorly men are addicted to porn. Women are majorly addicted to erotic novels. Now that act may look quite innocent, which isn't the case. Because primarily within a woman's mind, it is sound that triggers imagination, that triggers visualization. And when a woman is reading a novel, several sounds are triggering visualization within her mind. Now, if we want to understand the cause and effects of porn, specifically in men, then primarily we need to understand the nature of sexual energy, which itself is masculine. That is why Kam is also known as Kamdev, not Kamdevi. Dev is a term used for masculine. One more small example. If you type down Kam on Google in Hindi language right now, it will be displayed as pulling, not thrilling. And pulling is masculine. It isn't feminine. There are several examples like that, which clearly indicates that Kam or sexual energy is masculine in nature. Sexual energy within a woman has a direct aim, whereas within a man, it has an indirect aim. This is one of the reasons because of which a man's psychology is sexual oriented and a woman's psychology is emotions oriented. For a man, it starts from sex and ends in emotions, whereas for a woman, it starts from emotions and ends in sex. But it does not stop over here. It moves ahead and again ends in emotions. Because on a subtle level, a woman wants to fulfill her sexual desires for the sake of fulfilling her emotional desires. Major emotional fulfillment within a woman's life happens when a child is born in her life, specifically a son. And a child is born through sex. That is why I said that on a subtle level, she wants to fulfill her sexual desires for the sake of fulfilling her emotional desires. This is exactly why I said that within a woman, sexual energy has a direct aim. That is why her psychology isn't sexually oriented. But within a man, it has an indirect aim. And in today's era, that indirect aim has also become irrelevant. What is that indirect aim which has become irrelevant? It is extreme violence. When I say extreme violence, I am indicating towards manslaughter. Let me give you an example for this. Let's say if there are two women in similar kind of bikinis nearby a swimming pool. One of the women has just come out of the swimming pool and her body is completely wet. And the other woman who is wearing similar kind of bikini, her body is completely dry. Now, which woman would you naturally be attracted towards? A woman whose body is wet. It is very natural if you observe it. Now, what is it within you that is getting attracted towards a woman whose body is externally wet? It is nothing but the internal fire of sexual energy that wants to be extinguished. And that energy itself is getting attracted towards water because it knows that water can extinguish it. Another example. Now, men usually love watching violent movies, viewing bloodshed. Now, what is it within us which is getting attracted towards blood? It is the same fire, same sexual energy within us which is getting attracted towards blood. What is blood? It is liquid in nature. What is water? It is liquid in nature. And fire knows that liquid can extinguish it. That is why in both of these situations, the same energy is getting attracted towards water and blood. That is why I said that this energy has an indirect aim, and hence a man can attain easy control over this energy through extreme violence like manslaughter, which isn't possible. That is why I said that this particular aspect has become irrelevant. And this is one of the primary reasons because of which men are getting attracted towards porn. Because this particular energy isn't being extinguished through extreme violence, that is why it wants to be extinguished through sex. Now, there are several other reasons for pornography addiction. One of them is the most common one, which is easy availability and free availability of porn. There are more factors, but for the time being, I would like to come down to its resolutions. Now, over here, I will have to be realistic. There are no shortcuts over here. In today's date, it is a very tough journey to take control over your sexual desires. For both the genders, specifically when it comes to pornography addiction, it is very hard for me. But of course, there is a possibility, a hard one, but there is. To take charge over sexual energy, first, one needs to control and thus suppress it. Now, suppression cannot happen 100%. It's impossible. Your biology will not allow that to happen. This energy wants to be released out at any cost. That is how nature has ingrained you with this energy. For an example, you take in food. You cannot keep it stored permanently within your body. You excrete it out. You take in water. You cannot keep it stored permanently within your body. You urinate it out. You breathe in air. You exhale it. You cannot keep it stored permanently within your body. Exactly in the same way, your body absorbs solar energy. You cannot keep it stored within your body. Your body absorbs energy from the food as well. Again, you cannot keep it stored within your body. This needs to exit out as well. And the weirdest part for men is their bodies are recharged once in every 24 hours. Unlike women, their bodies are recharged once in a month. That is why majorly a woman's urge to have sex is directly linked with her menstrual cycles. But this isn't the case for a man. This is very easily noticeable that almost on a daily basis, specifically a young man will feel a boner before he wakes up in the morning. Why? Because that is an indication that your body has been sufficiently recharged. In fact, I would say you feel a boner just because your body has been overcharged. That means this energy is extremely intense within a man. That is why suppressing this energy is impossible for a man. It is quite possible for a woman before she loses her virginity. After losing her virginity, somewhere it becomes impossible for her as well. So, first aspect is control and thus suppression. Second aspect is to fulfill your sexual desires and thus experience it. Now, when I say to fulfill and thus experience it, you need to fulfill it within the boundary of marriage. Because primarily, within a man, sexual energy is taken charge by contentment, which is responsible to create satisfaction. Now, how could you be satisfied by sex if you do not have it at all? That means contentment can take control over sexual energy only and only if you fulfill your sexual desires. Before that, you cannot take charge over it. It is impossible. This aspect is primarily relevant for me. because the nature of contentment is also masculine and the nature of sexual energy is also masculine. The third aspect, which takes charge over sexual energy, is redirection. You need to channelize that energy towards a higher aim. For an example, right now, sexual energy within me is getting channelized and thus redirected, not towards a higher aim, but towards the highest possible aim. This same life energy, when it is downstairs, it is sexual energy. And when the same life energy moves up, it becomes wisdom. It has the ability to enlighten an individual. So this is the third aspect, which is redirection and thus channelizing. You can even redirect this energy towards your work, towards your job, towards your business, specifically towards creativity, but still only through this aspect you cannot take charge of it. The fourth aspect. Now this is specifically relevant for men, only men, which I said is extreme violence. Of course, manslaughter is not possible in today's date, but at least practices like boxing, which prepares you for extreme violence, through this source, sexual energy exits out of the body very smoothly and rapidly. Specifically practices like boxing, kickboxing. And when it comes to kickboxing and boxing, shadow boxing is primarily recommendable. A similar kind of practice also exists in Kung Fu, known as Chi. But somewhere the movements in Chi is slow. But the movements in shadow boxing is quite rapid. That's the difference. The most important aspect is spiritual practices. Meditation, meaning abhyas and adhyana of your holy scriptures. Those practices redirects energies in a very powerful way. And it also makes those energies exit out of the body in a very powerful manner. For men specifically, somewhere if you need to take charge over your sexual desires, if you want to get de-addicted from porn, you need to adapt all these methods. Because the fact is that within men, primarily it is contentment that takes charge over sexual desires, but along with contentment, the aspect of morality, which is derived from an emotion known as shame, and in the end, patience takes complete and absolute control over sexual desires. When patience comes into the picture, this is exactly where the aspect of Tantra comes in as well. This is what takes charge. There are psychological aspects to pornography addiction as well, which is connected with the food that you eat, the sleeping patterns, the atmosphere that you go in, the memories that your mind carries, the traumas that you have been through, and so on. Many psychological aspects. Let the Sadhguruji's grace be. We will explore all these aspects as well in the next video.